know some of the biggest bands of the 90s disappeared almost overnight? From chart-topping hits to sudden breakups, these iconic groups left behind a legacy that still echoes today. Let's dive into their forgotten stories. 20. Four Non-Blondes. Who could forget the unforgettable anthem, What's Up, by Four Non-Blondes? But behind this one-hit wonder lies a story of unexpected conflict. Four Non-Blondes' 1992 song, What's Up, was a #1 hit that placed the band among VH1's 100 Greatest One-Hit Wonders and earned a spot in the viral meme universe. The band's frontwoman, singer-songwriter Linda Perry, told Rolling Stone in 2011 that she loved the song but hated the production. Perry's distaste for her own band's music turned out to be a major contributing factor to Four Non-Blondes' 1994 breakup. Although they were active for 5 years, the band only released one album, Bigger, Better, Faster, More. I wasn't really a big fan of my band, Perry told Rolling Stone of Four Non-Blondes. I didn't like the record at all. When I heard our record for the first time, I cried. It didn't sound like me. It made me belligerent and a real a-hole. I wanted to say, we're a fucking badass cool band. We're not that fluffy, polished bullshit that you're listening to. It was really difficult. Perry has since seen considerable success as a songwriter. She has written such hits as Pink's Get the Party Started, Christina Aguilera's Beautiful, and Gwen Stefani's What You Waiting For. Four Non-Blondes was an American rock band from San Francisco, active from 1989 to 1994. Their only album, Bigger, Better, Faster, More, spent 59 weeks on the Billboard 200 and sold 1.5 million copies between 1992 and 1994. They hit the charts in 1993 with the release of the album's second single, What's Up. Originally, the band was all female, with vocalist Linda Perry, bassist Krista Hillhouse, guitarist Shauna Hill, and drummer Wanda Day. However, before their album was released, Dawn Richardson replaced Day on drums, and Roger Roca replaced Hall on guitar.
Hi, I'm Krista.
I'm Roger.
Linda.
Time. Four Non-Blondes.
This is Faxo.
Faxo.
Watch it.
I realized quickly when I knew I should that the world was made up of this brotherhood of man.
19. Sonic Youth. Sonic Youth, one of the most iconic and experimental bands of the 90s. But did you know their incredible journey came to a shocking halt? Sonic Youth is a name synonymous with 90s rock bands, and perhaps even with the 90s. Their brand of noisy post-punk music places them up there with some of the best rock bands of the decade. Although they emerged during the 80s, they found true commercial success in the 90s, hitting such highs as a headline set at Lollapalooza, a number of critically acclaimed experimental albums, and a guest spot on The Simpsons. This momentum carried on through much of the aughts, branching out from their initial sound and collaborating with such legends as John Paul Jones and Yamantaka Ai. They weren't entirely safe from the tribulations of their third decade, however. One particular lowlight includes receiving a rare 0.0 score from Pitchfork for their album NYC Ghosts and Flowers. In 2011, the band came to an end when both Kim Gordon and Thurston Moore separated after 27 years of marriage. Other members, such as Lee Ronaldo, have moved on to solo projects. (18) M2M. Remember the sweet pop duo M2M? Their catchy tunes were everywhere in the late 90s, but their story took a surprising turn. Still remember the cute girl duo famous for hit songs like Pretty Boy, Mirror Mirror, and Don't Say You Love Me? Comprising of singers Marion Raven and Merritt Larson, who have been friends since the age of 5, the Norwegian pop duo released their debut single, Don't Say You Love Me, in 1999. The single reached number 2 in Norway, number 4 in both Australia and New Zealand, number 16 in the UK, number 21 on the US Billboard Hot 100, and remains as M2M's biggest hit. The duo split in 2002, and Raven was offered a $1 million recording contract with Atlantic Records. Her first solo album, Here I Am, in 2005, comprised tracks all written by her except for one. In 2006, Raven was signed to indie record label 11/7 and most recently released her European-US debut album, Set Me Free, and has been extensively promoting it in Germany, the Netherlands, and the UK. Larson took some time off to reflect on her career after the breakup of M2M. She reappeared in 2006 with the release of her self-composed album, Under the Surface. The album was met with positive reviews and won several awards, including the Best Norwegian Act at the MTV Europe Music Awards. 17. SWV, Sisters with Voices. SWV was one of the defining R&B girl groups of the 90s with hits that still resonate today. But what led to their surprising disbandment? Sisters with Voices began as a gospel group in the late 1980s in New York City. Bandmates Tamara Johnson, Leanne Lyons, and Cheryl Gamble formed the group SWV, quickly rising to fame with their soulful harmonies and catchy hooks. In 1993, the group scored its first and only #1 single with the wildly popular Weak. The group's debut album, It's About Time, reached #8 on the Billboard 200. SWV disbanded in 1998 with the record label signing Gamble to a solo recording contract. She ended up landing 2 top 5 albums on the gospel charts. The trio reunited in 2011 and have recorded 2 albums since. SWV was honored with the Lady of Soul Award at the 2017 Soul Train Awards and teamed with fellow R&B group Salt and Peppa for the BET show Ladies Night in 2019. 16. A Tribe Called Quest. A Tribe Called Quest defined the sound of alternative hip-hop in the 90s. But internal strife would eventually lead to a heartbreaking end. Formed in Queens, New York in the mid-1980s, A Tribe Called Quest scored 3 top 10 albums in the Billboard 200 in the 90s. Beats, Rhymes, and Life was the group's top charting record of the decade, reaching #1 in 1996. Tribe's 1998 follow-up and final album, The Love Movement, hit #3. Tension between rapper Phife Dawg and producer Q-Tip precipitated the band's split. After 8 years apart and only sporadic recordings, A Tribe Called Quest officially reunited in 2006 and returned to the top of the Billboard charts in 2016 with We Got It From Here, Thank You For Your Service. Months before the album was finished, 45-year-old Phife Dawg died from complications from diabetes. The group delivered a politically charged performance at the Grammys in early 2017 in front of a mural of Phife Dawg and disbanded a few months later. 15. The Verve. The Verve's Bittersweet Symphony remains an iconic anthem. But behind the scenes, constant conflicts tore this beloved Britpop band apart. The Verve, whose biggest hits include Bittersweet Symphony and The Drugs Don't Work, were one of Britain's most successful rock acts during the 90s. They were part Britpop, part shoegaze, and won numerous BRIT awards, topped the charts repeatedly, and were nominated for a Grammy in 1999 for Bittersweet Symphony. While they may have put out some of the most recognizable songs of the decade, things haven't been exactly smooth sailing for the Verve. They've split up 3 times in their 19 years on the scene, and since the most recent split in 2009, it's been reported that guitarist Nick McCabe and bassist Simon Jones are not on speaking terms with frontman Richard Ashcroft, and haven't been since 2008. Prior to this, the band had split in 1999, reunited in 2007, and then quickly succumbed to the excesses of partying and infighting that had ended them almost a decade before. Jones and McCabe have since gone on to form their own band, Black Ships, who nowadays are known as Black Submarine. They're still going, and Ashcroft has had decent success in his own solo career. 14. Mazzy Star. Mazzy Star's dreamy melodies were the perfect soundtrack to the 90s, but their story is filled with hiatuses, reunions, and tragic losses. Mazzy Star was probably the best female-led dreamy alt-rock folk act of the 90s. They were formed from the disbanded members of a group called Opal with added vocalist Hope Sandoval. Performing as Mazzy Star, they then released their first album, She Hangs Brightly. It was their second LP, however, which featured the track Fade Into You, the song that put Mazzy Star on the map. Their third album, Among My Swan, was released in 1996. After that, they leaped back off the map, going on hiatus to avoid being creatively controlled and drained by their label. They briefly reunited in 2000 for a tour of Europe, but didn't do much else until 2010, when they reformed for good. In 2013, they released Seasons of Your Day, their fourth album, which achieved both commercial and critical success. Their comeback was beset with tragedy, however, after the death of drummer Keith Mitchell in 2017. The band reunited on stage in 2018 and released a new EP around the same time. 13. Westlife. Westlife, the Irish boy band sensation, seemed unstoppable in the late 90s. But what happened when they tried to make it big in America? Westlife, an Irish boy band, was formed in 1998 but disbanded in 2012. The group, which consisted of members Nicky Byrne, Cian Egan, Mark Feehily, Shane Phelan, and Brian McFadden, was hugely popular in the 1990s, selling over 50 million records worldwide, a total that included studio albums, singles, video releases, and compilation albums. Despite their success worldwide, Westlife never managed to break into the US market, achieving only one hit single in 2000, Swear It Again. Shane Phelan was declared bankrupt shortly after their farewell tour in 2012 because of a bad property venture with his brother. However, the band's original manager, Lewis Walsh, landed the 35-year-old with a record deal, and he has since been promoting as a solo artist. He has also released his autobiography, My Side of Life, which is a revealing look into his white-knuckle roller coaster ride of a life. Mark Feehily went under the radar after the disbandment and piled on the pounds after splitting from his fiancée, Kevin McDade, in 2012. He started his own catering business, which sees him serving food and hot drinks from the back of a van as he travels to festivals and events around the UK and Ireland. He recently announced his solo comeback that promises a darker, more soulful electronic sound and is scheduled for release later this year. Cian Egan has arguably had the most success since the split in 2012. Cian bagged the role of coach and mentor on the Irish version of the popular talent show The Voice after being voted King of the Jungle in ITV's I'm a Celebrity 2013 series. The 35-year-old works alongside fellow judges Bressie, the Saturday star Una Foden, and S Club 7 member Rachel Stevens. Nicky Byrne has left behind his singing career since Westlife split. The 36-year-old is now better known as a TV and radio presenter in Ireland. Brian McFadden has been flying solo ever since his early departure from Westlife in 2004, but has only received moderate success in his solo career. He was another band member that became more famously known as a TV presenter when he bagged the role as a judge on Australia's Got Talent in 2010. This year, the singer has joined celebrity talent show Get Your Act Together, which sees showbiz stars work with legendary magicians Penn and Teller to improve their magic skills.
Hi to all our fans in the Philippines, I'm Shane.
I'm Mark.
I'm Nicky.
Brian.
And I'm Cian.
And we're Westlife.
You forgot his I'm Cian. I was like, no, I'm not.
Hi, I'm Shane.
I'm Mark.
I'm Nicky.
I'm Cian. I'm Brian. And we're
Lads,
Westlife.
by the way, we're on TV.
I know,
Why
but
are you saying each other's
it's
names?
just-
You're not keen, and you're not. You know what I mean?
It's fun.
It's not fun.
Oh,
They're going to
it's
say,
fun.
he's not
It's
keen.
fun because we're bored. It's not fun.
That's Brian.
I'll tell you what's going to happen. Exactly. They'll ring in, and they'll be on it, and they'll make it a point on the next show, and they'll be talking about us again. They'll be going,
Whoever told you I was letting go of the only joy that I have ever known.
12. Nirvana. Nirvana's grunge sound defined a generation, but the tragic loss of Kurt Cobain changed everything for this legendary band. Nirvana brought grunge into the mainstream in 1991 with Nevermind, an album featuring the wildly popular singles Smells Like Teen Spirit, Come As You Are, Polly, Lithium, and In Bloom. The Seattle-based trio of Kurt Cobain, Chris Novoselic, and Dave Grohl maintained a spot on the Billboard 200 for nearly 9 years total. Nirvana's third album, In Utero, also reached #1 on the charts. Cobain died in his Seattle home on April 5, 1994. Shortly after Cobain's death, the band's MTV Unplugged in New York album topped the charts, as did the live album From the Muddy Banks of the Wishkah in 1996. Grohl stepped out from behind the drum kit to form the Foo Fighters, who ended up netting 11 Grammys. Nevermind was named the 17th best album of all time by Rolling Stone in 2012, and Nirvana was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2014. 11. At the Drive-In. At the Drive-In was a powerhouse of raw energy, but a sudden breakup left fans reeling, wondering if they'd ever return. Post-hardcore kids wept into their hoodies when El Paso's At the Drive-In announced plans to break up in 2001. They reunited in 2012 for a run of festivals in the US and in the UK, but there are no plans for the band to ever play together again. Sad times. At the Drive-In was an American post-hardcore band from El Paso, Texas, formed in 1994. The band's most recent lineup consisted of Cedric Bixler-Zavala, vocals, Omar Rodriguez-Lopez, guitar vocals, Paul Hinojos, bass, Tony Hadjar, drums, and Keely Davis, guitar vocals. After several early lineup changes, the band solidified into a 5-piece consisting of Bixler-Zavala, Rodriguez-Lopez, Jim Ward, Hinojos, and Hadjar. At the Drive-In released 3 studio albums and 5 EPs before breaking up in 2001. Their third and final album before their split, 2000's Relationship of Command, received a number of accolades and is cited as a landmark of the post-hardcore genre. Following the breakup, Bixler-Zavala and Rodriguez-Lopez formed Mars Volta, while Ward, Hinojos, and Hadjar formed Sparta. Hinojos would later join the Mars Volta. At the Drive-In reunited in January 2012 and played the 2012 Coachella Valley Music and Arts Festival, as well as the 2012 Lollapalooza Festival. In 2016, the band reunited for a second time, with guitarist and occasional lead vocalist Jim Ward no longer participating. He was replaced by Sparta's Keely Davis. The band released their 4th studio album, Inter Alia, in 2017. The band announced an indefinite hiatus in November 2018. 10. Stone Temple Pilots. Stone Temple Pilots were rock superstars, but their journey was anything but smooth. Their story is filled with tragedy and resilience. Going by record sales and chart performance alone, Stone Temple Pilots were one of the most successful bands of the 90s. They scored 6 top 10 hits on the Billboard 200, with 1994's album Purple enjoying 3 weeks at #1. By 2015, they had sold 2.4 million albums in the United States alone, and there's a decent argument to be made for frontman Scott Weiland having one of the most iconic and recognizable voices in alt-rock. The next 2 decades weren't kind to Stone Temple Pilots. They split in 2002 and faltered with their 2008 reunion when Weiland was fired from the band and a number of lawsuits were pursued over the right to perform under the band's name. The band replaced Weiland with ex-Linkin Park vocalist Chester Bennington. Eventually, in 2015, Weiland was found dead while touring in Minnesota. Only 2 years later, Bennington died by suicide. Since then, the band has struggled onward with a new singer, Jeff Gutt, and continues to release music under the Stone Temple Pilots name. 9. A1. A1 burst onto the scene alongside other boy bands in the 90s, but internal strife and departures changed everything for this pop group. The 4-member English-Norwegian pop band consisting of Christian Ingebrigtsen, Mark Reed, Ben Adams, cue muted screams, and Paul Marazzi entered the music scene in the same year as NSYNC in 1998. They were most well known for their hit songs Caught in the Middle, Every Time, and Like a Rose. Marazzi left the group in 2002, and the other members decided to take a break from the limelight for a while. The remaining 3 members reformed A1 in 2009, and since then have released a number of new singles, as well as their 4th and 5th studio albums, Waiting for Daylight 2010 and Rediscovered 2012. Ex-member Paul Marazzi expressed interest to rejoin the group, but the band refused to let him do so. Ouch. I guess A1 will never be the same old boy band we remember them as. 8. Spice Girls. Girl power was the anthem of the 90s thanks to the Spice Girls. But what happens when one of the world's biggest groups falls apart? The British girl group, formed during an open casting audition, made it big in 1996 with the smash hit Wannabe, which shot to #1 on the Hot 100 in early 1997. The Spice Girls had 2 more hits reach the top 5 on the charts in 1997, 2 Become One and Say You'll Be There. The quintet's follow-up album, Spice World, reached #3 on the Billboard 200, and the accompanying movie Spice World made more than $10 million on opening weekend, the highest ever for a Super Bowl weekend debut despite being considered among the worst movies of all time. Jerry Halliwell, Ginger, left the Spice Girls in 1998 in the middle of the Spice World World Tour, with the remaining members touring until disbanding in 2000. Victoria Adams, Posh, married English soccer superstar David Beckham in 1999 and went on to create a fashion empire. The Spice Girls have reunited in various forms since, most recently touring in 2019 without Beckham, Posh, who cited wanting to spend time with her family.
Last time that we had this conversation, I decided we should be friends.
7. Radiohead. Radiohead redefined alternative rock in the 90s with their innovative sound. But as they evolved, they drifted far from their mainstream roots. Radiohead gained mainstream recognition in 1993 with the song Creep, the video for which was also popular on MTV. Radiohead's subsequent albums, The Bends and OK Computer, gained them critical praise, with the latter being nominated for Best Album and winning Best Alternative Performance at the Grammy Awards in 1997. Radiohead picked up 2 #1 albums in the 2000s with Kid A and In Rainbows, both winning Grammy Awards for Best Alternative Album. Rolling Stone ranked Kid A as the #1 album of the decade in 2009 and 67th all time. Radiohead joined the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2019, although frontman Tom York skipped the ceremony while working on a project for the Paris Philharmonic.
I wish I was special. You're so fucking special.
6. Destiny's Child. Destiny's Child was one of the most successful girl groups of the 90s, but internal conflicts and solo ambitions spelled the end. One of the finest girl groups of all time, Destiny's Child parted ways in 2005. Beyoncé went on to become a super megastar, and the others, didn't. Beyoncé was joined by her former band members during her 2013 Super Bowl performance, but the group has never announced an official reunion. Destiny's Child was an American girl group whose final lineup comprised Beyoncé Knowles, Kelly Rowland, and Michelle Williams. The group began their musical career as Girls Time, formed in 1990 in Houston, Texas. After years of limited success, the original quartet, comprising Knowles, Rowland, Latavia Roberson, and LaToya Luckett, were signed in 1997 to Columbia Records as Destiny's Child. The group was launched into mainstream recognition following the release of the song No, 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 and their best-selling second album, The Writings on the Wall, 1999, which contained the #1 singles Bills, 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 and Say My Name, alongside successful singles Bugaboo and Jumpin' Jumpin'. Despite critical and commercial success, the group was plagued by internal conflict and legal turmoil as Roberson and Luckett attempted to split from the group's manager Matthew Knowles due to favoritism of Knowles and Rowland. 5. Sublime. Sublime's fusion of ska and punk made them a 90s favorite, but the sudden death of their frontman Brad Nowell changed the band forever. The troubling glorification of rock stars who burn out was largely absent with the death of Sublime frontman Brad Nowell. But this is because Nowell died before he had the chance to experience the glory his band would experience in his wake. On May 25, 1996, Nowell was found dead in a hotel room in San Francisco following an accidental heroin overdose, per Rolling Stone. The ska rock band's third album, simply titled Sublime, had been completed but not yet released. In the year or so that followed Nowell's death, the album entered the Billboard Top 20, saw multiple major hits, sold extensively, and cemented the band's status in late 90s music history. "We will go on in music and do other things," Sublime manager Jason Westfall told the Press Telegram at the time of Nowell's death via MTV. But just like Nirvana, Sublime died when Brad died. Still, over a decade later in 2009, the surviving members of the band announced that they would reunite with young guitarist Rome Ramirez in Nowell's place as Sublime with Rome. This news was met with skepticism by fans per Maui Time. Original Sublime member Bud Gaw left the band in 2011. "It was really good for the first few months. After that, it just felt wrong," Gaw later said via The Vogue. "Not playing the songs, but playing them with the name Sublime, without Brad."
Let me tell you about a girl I know. Had a drink about an hour ago. Sitting in the corner by her.
4. Hole. Courtney Love's band Hole was as chaotic and rebellious as she was, but legal battles and personal conflicts eventually tore this alt-rock band apart. Alt-rock band Hole had a highly dramatic run that lasted for over a decade. In 2000, the band's leading lady, Courtney Love, announced that she was leaving the band's record label, Geffen. According to Rolling Stone, Geffen's parent company, Universal Music Group, filed a lawsuit against the band for breaching its contract, which reportedly stated the band was obligated to record 5 more albums under the label. Love testified that the band was protected under a California labor law called 7-Year Statute. Still, the suit kept Hole from signing with a new label, and by 2002, Love was involved in multiple lawsuits with major record labels. On May 23, 2002, Love and Hole guitarist and co-founder Eric Erlandson announced that the band was breaking up. Since Geffen Records closed during the promotion of our last record, Celebrity Skin, there have been a lot of distractions, Love said via Rolling Stone. Universal's lawsuit against us made it impossible for us to find a new record company despite overwhelming interest from other labels. After 3 years of waiting, Eric and I have decided to put Hole to rest. I will always treasure the time we played together. Eric has been an important part of my family for over 10 years, and he'll continue to be a part of my life.
All the stars explode tonight.
3. R.E.M. R.E.M. soared to new heights in the 90s with hits like Losing My Religion. But after decades of success, the band quietly called it quits. After forming in 1980 in Georgia, R.E.M. hit its stride in the 1990s with 3 albums that reached number 1 or number 2 on the Billboard 200 by 1994. Losing My Religion was the band's biggest hit, helping the 1991 album Out of Time receive 6 Grammy nominations and land the top spot, remaining on the charts for more than 2 years. Brain aneurysms while on tour in 1995 led drummer Bill Berry to leave the band in 1997. I hope our fans realize this wasn't an easy decision, but all things must end, and we wanted to do it right, frontman Michael Stipe said at the time. Guitarist Peter Buck initially remained quiet, but in 2016, he told Rolling Stone that the band had reached the decision while working on the 2011 album Collapse Into Now. We got together and Michael Stipe said, "I think you guys will understand. I need to be away from this for a long time," Buck recalled. And I said, "How about forever?" Michael looked at Mike Mills and Mike said, "Sounds right to me." That's how it was decided. In Buck's view, there were multiple contributing factors to the split. It was the money, the politics, having to meet new people 24 hours a day, not being in charge of my own decisions, he said. "I hate the business, and I didn't want to have anything to do with it."
Stairs, I'm tossing up punchlines that were never there. Over my shoulder, piano.
2. Beastie Boys. The Beastie Boys broke barriers with their rap-rock fusion, but a tragic diagnosis in 2009 would forever change the course of this legendary group. The Beastie Boys' 1987 EP, Licensed to Ill, was the first rap album to hit number 1 on the Billboard 200. Another top 10 record came in 1992, followed by 1994's Ill Communication, which included the wildly popular Sabotage. The group's third number 1 album, Hello Nasty, helped the New York City trio pick up its first 2 Grammy Awards in 1998. Following a 6-year gap between albums, the Beastie Boys sat atop the charts once again in 2004 with To the Five Boroughs. While working on the album Hot Sauce Committee Part 2 in 2009, Adam Yauch, MCA, announced he was diagnosed with salivary gland cancer and the group canceled its tour. MCA was unable to attend the Beastie Boys' enshrinement in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2012, succumbing to cancer a month later in May 2012. The group officially disbanded in 2014. 1. The Cranberries. The Cranberries defined 90s alt-rock with their powerful sound and unforgettable hits. But a sudden tragedy would bring an untimely end to their story. The Cranberries might sound like a rejected name for a 50s girl group, but they actually happen to be one of Ireland's greatest ever bands and an iconic facet of the 90s music scene. Despite enjoying heady heights during the middle part of the decade, including a triple platinum album in No Need to Argue, their subsequent albums never quite matched it commercially. They continued to release music until their hiatus in 2004. They reunited 5 years later and released 2 albums, Roses, which was released in 2012, and Something Else, which was released in 2017. Unfortunately, the band's renewal was shattered in 2018 with the sudden and unexpected death of Dolores O'Riordan, the band's vocalist. Since then, the Cranberries have slated one final album with O'Riordan's vocals, appropriately titled In the End. At the time of her death, O'Riordan had recently recorded new material for the Cranberries' aptly named album, The End. Dolores had an awful lot going on and she was on a roll of being able to write, guitarist Noel Hogan told The Guardian. Lyrically, the new album is very strong. She always said she found it hard to write songs when she was happy. Hogan and the other remaining members of the Cranberries, bassist Mike Hogan and drummer Fergal Lawler, decided they would disband after the release of The End due to O'Riordan's absence. "We will do this album and then that will be it," Hogan said. "There is no need to continue." The group officially disbanded in 2019. Thanks for watching. If you love this trip down memory lane, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell to stay updated on our latest videos. Don't forget to check out our other videos too. Drop a comment below with your favorite band from the list, and we'll see you in the next one.